And they have incredible political power, control of more than $1 trillion American dollars, and potentially the future of Social Security, Medicare, as well as the U.S. military.
Congress's 12-person so-called super committee has begun meeting in Washington, but as Scott MacFarlane reports, there's new concern this committee, including a local leader, are getting way too cozy with deep-pocketed people.
This so-called super committee has been meeting all week here on Capitol Hill trying to find a way to cut $1.6 trillion from America's deficit. But at the same time, we found some of those involved are going across the street to hold ritzy fundraisers with deep-pocketed D.C. lobbyists. Which means special interest groups willing to spend a couple thousand for a meal or drinks at a political fundraiser get better access to this super committee than we do. The 12-person committee, 6 Republicans, 6 Democrats, have power over things very important to us: our health care, our military, Social Security. If you had $1,000 to spend on breakfast at this high-end Capitol Hill bistro, you could have had one-on-one time with this member, Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey. For up to $2,000, you could have had dinner at this seafood restaurant with this Republican Super Committee member from Ohio. Others will stage golf outings, group trips to Major League Baseball games. The co-chair of the Super Committee reportedly had a fundraising lunch in Seattle that occurred hours after she was named to the Super Committee.
I can't afford $2,500 to dine with them, but those who can afford will help Congress raise money, and will keep Washington doing business as usual.
Reports say organizers of a fundraiser for one of the 6 Democrats on the panel touted the fact the congressman was on the Super Committee to attract big donors. We called and emailed Super Committee members for reaction. Local Senator Rob Portman told us I'm certainly going to be guided by one thing and one thing only, and that's what's best for the country. It's something that should be influenced by anything other than what's best for our country. One Senate staffer told me a lot of these fundraisers we're talking about were scheduled long before the Super Committee ever formed, and some of the senators involved were just keeping previous commitments. What'll be interesting to see is how many new fundraisers are scheduled later this fall while the committee is still meeting. In Washington, Scott MacFarlane, News Center 7.